Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to yet another exciting event that has already witnessed outstanding success in the previous editions. Hello everyone. My name is Samir Kochar, your official host for the CreatorSpace series. Now till now, guys, you've all been a significant part of the most happening themes such as gaming, music, space, math, and even esports, our previous session. Across the last 6 events, we have garnered at least 370,000 plus live viewers. We really hope to have inspired you and piqued your curiosity to new levels. Also, guys, let me take this opportunity to thank you all for having shown us immense love through your chats, messages, comments, and of course, emails. Don't stop there, guys. Keep showering your love, and we assure you a great event every time, each time, with new exciting concepts and key personalities from across the world. Now is the time to take you through today's theme. Guys, have you ever imagined what technology lies behind the self-driven car? How does the face recognition on your mobile devices work? How does the chatbot function? Get ready to hear it all today from our experts on CreatorSpace. AI Accelerator is what we have, an event that will answer your questions on artificial intelligence. So continuing with what we have as an exciting lined up event for you guys, we have with us today the AI experts from the industry who will take you through an amazing journey of artificial intelligence, its applications and implications. Isn't it super exciting? I'm good to go. I'm so glad to be here and can't wait to interact with all our amazing speakers lined up for the event. Now, on that note, I would love to give a shout out to the folks watching us on YouTube. Hello, people. How are you? Don't be there. Come here. You can join us live here on the link given in the video description. Take part in the amazing quizzes and, of course, win some fantabulous prizes. Before we see what amazing stuff we have in store for you, we would like to announce the winners of the quiz rounds of our esports session. Remember that one? We were there enjoying it. Here on our screen will be our first slide announcing the winners of that fantastic event. The winners of the Ultimate Gaming Quiz, there they are. I want to name you all. Amish, who's won a Nintendo Switch Live. Now we got Mir Tazim, Sukhman Jyotkar, Vatsal, Avanish, Kush Patel, Sanjay, Devanshu, Ayush, who won a gaming kit, and winning PlayStation currency is Aradhya. The winners, I want to clap for you right now, and lots of emojis are coming your way. Remember, guys, those of you sending emojis could also be the winners. So take part in the quiz. One more lined up for you guys here as well today. Okay. Now, before we see what amazing stuff we have lined up for you, we are going to be telling you, of course, lots more stuff and things you can do. All these winners have received their prizes, and a big congratulations to them. Folks on YouTube, that's what I'm saying. Join us here live on our sessions so we can have lots and lots of fun, and you too can take part in the polls, please. We have one more slide out here on screen. Can we have the quiz reboot slide? It's super fun questions about AI and its applications, and the winners, of course, can get a Nintendo Switch Lite and, of course, win wonderful prizes, a win electric guitar, and a very cool robotics set for all the curious and innovative minds. Come on, show us some love through emojis, through your chats, people. Let them flow, let them flow. So what will happen? It'll be divided into 3 sets of 5 questions each, spread across the event. So stay tuned for the whole event to increase your chances of winning. Now would be the perfect time to join the event, guys. First set will be up soon. But before we move to that, we have one more amazing giveaway for you all. Can we move to the next slide to reveal the winner of the previous trial offer? Let's have a look at the winner of the special trial offer. The winner is Eileen, who wins a Nintendo Switch Lite. There you have it on your screens. And let's look at what we have in store for this session. How do you do it? How do you win this prize? Book a free trial class with us and get a chance to win a PlayStation 4. Book any trial class and complete it, be it music, be it math, be it coding, and be eligible to take home the prizes in addition to, of course, the knowledge. Booking links can be found in the lobby area right below. So go book it right now. You'll have loads and loads of fun and, of course, a chance to win these wonderful prizes. Well, folks, it's time we move on to our first segment, which is the quiz session. Did you know how AI surrounds us and we almost use it in our everyday life? Where else have you been exposed to the power of AI? Well, here we have for you some very exciting quiz questions from AI based on fun movies you might have been a fan of. So let us begin this quiz session. Please read the questions carefully and answer them fast, but most importantly, correctly. You get 30 seconds to answer each question in the poll section of your screen. So guys, if you're ready, I'm geared up. I'm good to go. Let's start the quiz reboot. Round one. The first question coming up on your screen is, there it is. Which Hollywood movie based on artificial intelligence? Which one of it is based on artificial intelligence? Is it Matrix, Uncanny, Terminator, or D, all of the above? I'm going to go to the poll now and see what's exactly happening on the poll. I'm on the poll, checking it out, which way you guys are going. A lot of you seem to know it. A lot of you seem not to know it. What is the right answer? What is the right answer? We're going to figure it out. Give you a few more seconds to answer. Well, the right answer is all of the above, people. Yes, indeed. Some of our favorite movies from back in the day. A number of movies have been made depicting the dystopian future of AI and robots and their survival along with humanity. So yes, some wonderful movies, but all based on AI. All right, going to move on to our second question. Ready for it, guys? Who is one of the most advanced human-like robot? Our most advanced human-like robot? Is it Maria? Is it Sophia? Is it Asimo? Or is it George? Is it George? Which one is it, guys? Think about it. Think about it. I'm going to check out my polls right now to see which way this is going, to see which way we can do this. And I'm going to give you a few more seconds to get it right. Should I throw out the answer? All right, here's the answer. The answer is Sophia is the correct answer. And Sophia is able to have a human-like conversation and is able to make many human-like facial expressions. Sophia is the way forward in the future. All right, moving to the near future of the next question. That's question number 3. Who builds C-3PO in the Star Wars? The Star Wars, what a film that was, guys. Was it Han Solo? Is it Princess Leia? Or is it Anakin Skywalker? Or is it The Empire? I'm sure you guys have seen Star Wars. What a fabulous film with so many additions year on end. Grew up watching it and still love it. My kids love it too. So the right answer for this question on your screens is, it is Anakin Skywalker. 9-year-old Skywalker made C-3PO from scrap parts collected in a junkyard to help his mother Shmi around their slave hovel in Mos Espa, Tatooine. Now, tough one, but good one. Great going, guys. Most of you are getting it right on your very good answers. Next question, question number 4, coming away. What makes the AI in the Terminator series particularly deadly? Remember Terminator? I'll be back. That was the line they used. A, they can't be destroyed. They can see the future. They can time travel, or they can connect with aliens. What makes the AI in the Terminator series particularly deadly? They're all deadly options out here, but which is the deadliest is what you got to give me. Okay, so the right answer is they can time travel, guys. Skynet can and does send Terminators back through time, making it possible for civilians to be targeted before AI is even supposed to exist. Fantastic, unbelievable. All right, guys, next question, the last one, question number 5. Who is the charming robot Wall-E meets on Earth? Is it Amy? Is it Eve? Is it Ada? Or is it Sky? Again, a fabulous movie, Wall-E. But the question is, charming robot Wall-E, who is the person meets on Earth? And you guys are getting it pretty much correct. I can see the polls reaching out and doing justice to what the question is on your screen. And the right answer is Eve returns to Earth to determine whether it's habitable and finds the small plant that Wall-E carefully tended. So those are our 5 questions that came your way. Well done, all. Well done to each and every one of you. You answered them correctly. If you've not answered them, don't worry. There are 10 more that are going to be coming up. So keep getting them right. And of course, if you get them all right in the right stipulated time, you stand to win some fabulous, fabulous prizes. Okay, here we go now. Round 2 shall be up very soon, as I mentioned. We're all geared up. We're good to go. We're warmed up now. I would love to start the event with its first session for tonight. Let me tell you about our first esteemed speaker. Now, who is the author of 7 publications in the areas of software engineering, mobile phones, and semiconductor system design. He is the vice president at Intel Corporation. We know you're waiting for this eagerly because, guys, so am I, because he is going to take us all to the massive world of AI, its applications and implications, and lots of live demonstrations as well. So can we give a big virtual shout out with lots of emojis to our first speaker of the day, Gokul Subramaniam? Can we have him on stage, please? Hi, Gokul. Welcome. It's an absolute honor to have you with us. The students and the audience are curiously waiting to hear from you on how AI is present now and in the future. How are you doing today, first of all?
Great, Samir. Thanks. I think you've really pumped up the audience already, so it's not going to be difficult to follow on.
Well, I've set the pathway for you, my dear friend, and I know we got some tremendous things to hear from you. And I will leave you with this young audience. I'll be backstage. Give me a call out whenever you're done. I'm going to join you
Absolutely.
for an amazing quiz session with the audience. But before I go, once again, guys, a huge shout out to all the YouTube audience. Join us live and be part of this amazing session and take part in the live polls and quizzes. For now, we're going to sit back and listen to our man, Gokul. Gokul, over to you.
Thanks, Samir. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and it's my pleasure to be with this group of soon-to-be AI-ready or already AI-ready generation. I'm really excited, and once again, good evening to everyone. Next few minutes, I'll do my best to take you down the path of what is AI and what are some of the things that we can learn together as a group, answer questions. But before anything, I want to first off give some basic idea about what artificial intelligence is all about. You can see two heads here, and the idea is to just get this merged, get as much technology knowledge, as much myth busted basic awareness of AI. Where can we use them, and what's the best way to learn? These are some of the things that I will try to cover today. Okay, without further ado, let's keep going. All right, so we're all aware of human intelligence. We know it, we have it. There is no need to learn about it. But if you were to just step back for a minute and think about how we acquire intelligence as human being, as the human species, if you think about it, the simplified view is we have our parents, teachers, books, and many methods that teach us as kids, and we grow up to gain that intelligence over a period of time. We get all the knowledge, all the teaching capability that gives us the knowledge. We experience it, we learn it, and then we build our intelligence. And when we have that intelligence, we're able to infer many things, we're able to recognize many things, we're able to visualize and cognitively be able to understand many things. That's human intelligence. Of course, we all know that. Now, I'm going to use the same analogy to kind of tell everyone what artificial intelligence is all about. So, first off, you replace the parents, teachers, and books. Of course, they are very important, but you'll soon see why there is a slight shift. We have computers. We have human beings that are actually dealing with computers, giving information to computers, either in the form of media like video, images, or audio, or many other aspects of channels of medium giving information to the computer. Instead of teaching the child, you give all that information to actually train. You don't teach, but you train. What do you train? You train a computer. And when you train, the computer starts to learn through algorithms and feedback rather than experiences and learning like how human beings do. And when we do that, what happens magically is it's the computer that can now start to recognize, infer, cognitively understand what's happening that's fed to it. And that's how human intelligence is enabling artificial intelligence. That's a very simplified view. I'm sure most of you have heard of this before. I just thought of starting off our whole discussion today with just that as our baseline. Now, quick poll question. Given that background, and of course, all the background that you might already have, where can AI be used, artificial intelligence be used most today? Is it entertainment, online shopping, sports, automobile, medical or medicine industry, and teaching? Where can AI be used the most? I'd like to get this poll going and maybe quickly take a look at what people are answering in the poll. Well, I see about 38, well, 40% of the people are doing online shopping. I can imagine with the pandemic going on, everybody's busy out there shopping, and post Diwali, of course. 50% say it's online shopping. Very few say it's sports. I can see that based on what's happened in the last couple of weeks. Teaching has a good number, but that's interesting. So I think great answers here, and I think one of the big takeaways is it's enabling us to do things that we never thought we could do about a decade ago. Who would have thought that AI would have allowed us to do a whole bunch of shopping? We would have said go to the mall or go to some shopping complex to buy some things, but clearly online shopping is a big area. But interestingly enough, all of these areas are being touched by AI, and I'll try to give you a glimpse of some of those in the next few minutes. All right. So with that poll question, let me jump in to the next part. Okay, so let's look at where our AI is really being used. Number one, AI is being used a lot on the road. I think most of us are now acquainted to using Google Maps, and you would wonder how and why Google Maps is using artificial intelligence. I've shown a couple of things in this page here. One is basically a location to go from one city to another, and of course, given that there is so much rain and flooding happening today in Tamil Nadu and Chennai, you probably want to really figure out what's the best way to get there. And if it was a static thing, Google Maps would have given the same way to get there. You have to keep in mind that more than about 1 billion kilometers, 1 billion kilometers have been driven with Google Maps across 220 countries. That's the enormity of the data. That's the large amount of data that we're talking about. So why I show this map is because one of the key aspects of map making or any map in general is predicting what is the best way to get. One is what is the best route, and the other thing is also predicting the traffic. There are two aspects of predicting traffic. You have historical information. We all live in different cities. We all know our really bottleneck intersections and signals where the traffic just piles up. So that's knowledge that we already know what happens at a given time during rush hour in a particular signal. That's historical information. You want to use that information as well as real-time information about the same signal and the same route, what the traffic is, and then be able to give a prediction so that the user or the driver who wants to use the map will know best route to take. That's one. And the second thing, in addition to the traffic, is also the kind of roads, the road conditions. Is it now dug up because they're putting a new highway? Or is it flooded, like the Chennai to Bangalore road right now? Which one do I take? Or is there something else happening in that route so that based on the road condition, not only road conditions, am I taking the highway or the small road? Do I have enough signals or do I not? And of course, the last but not the least, are there accidents in the road? So there is a variety of real-time information that goes into that map, which artificial intelligence at the back behind the scene does it for us when we use the application. The other picture that you see on the right is actually something very cool that Google has come up with. These are now big on airports. They've tried it out. They have this big project about wanting to use AI in many indoor locations, an airport being very busy, and in big airports where you want to find out where the elevator is, where a vending machine or a coffee shop is, or where do I take the right path to go to the terminal. It gives you real-time information. That's, again, something where AI is used. That's AI on the road. Now let's look at AI for food. A lot of you talked about that in the poll, saying that we use online shopping. Let's not forget, we order food. I'm sure all of us have been doing that quite a bit in the last 12, 18 months, and I'm sure we're going to continue to do it even more. If you look at the famous and the most important food delivery services that I think people will start saying, I can't live without these, right? Imagine a week or a month where you can't order food. Swiggy and Zomato, all of these food delivery companies use a lot of artificial intelligence. A good example is something called as dish relevance. There is this aspect of pulling the right dish information based on the name that somebody gives when they get into one of these food delivery websites or application. They use different languages. For example, if you want to order chicken, somebody might say chicken, somebody else might say murg, somebody else might say kori, depending on what language and linguistic that you're using. But it's important for this backend application to take that language, take the different dialects, and still be able to give you a list of all dishes based on chicken, right? So that's one aspect. Second thing is spelling. People type in all kinds of spelling. If you want to order biryani, I think there's about 5 different spellings that you can come up with for biryani. And the system has to know that you are looking for a biryani. and it should bring the right information out. So there is natural language processing, which is kind of a field of AI that gets used. And then there is various things about how people write. Some people will say, I want burger. Someone will say, I really want McDonald's burger. Somebody else will say some others. But being able to pick based on the various types of methods that users use, and AI plays a big part. And last but not the least, there is this whole thing about the popularity of the dish. So when you start ordering once or twice, then bringing up the most favored ones that you like up to the front so that you know that you can quickly access it. That is also using a lot of AI at the back end. Um, there are other places that we don't normally will think AI is being used in let's say, a Swiggy or a Zomato. When you place an order for food, the time it takes to prepare the dish is a big part. So what these companies do is for the various restaurants, they actually have very minute details of how long they take to prepare the dish, not necessarily to deliver, prepare the dish. Now, time taken for you to prepare the dish is also dependent on how many dishes are queued up for you. You need to add that one up, and how many are similar dishes versus different dishes. And when you have all of that, and then you start to look at, hey, where did the person who ordered it is living? What's the distance? What's the traffic? And you put it all together, they start to give you the estimated time of arrival. I know we always get upset when it comes a little late, or we're trying to look for, oh, if it comes late, is it one of these food delivery services that's going to give me the food for free? But you can imagine the kind of artificial intelligence and the technology that goes behind these food delivery services that happen. Last but not the least, they've also started to use AI to look at how the delivery partner is coming to your doorstep. Are they groomed well? Are they wearing a mask? They take a picture, send it back to the cloud, and they get to know what is going on so that they can also start to rate the service. So that's, in a nutshell, AI and food. And then AI is used in a variety of ways on comfort. Alexa, play me this song. Alexa, tell me a joke. Hey Google, give me the latest news. Or Siri, tell me what's the weather like. Every time you use one of these services, there is something called as natural language processing. There is a whole bunch of artificial intelligence that happens for us to have this comfort that we have, sitting in our living room and being able to get this data information available to us all the time. So again, that's another aspect of AI for comfort. AI for entertainment is another big aspect, and I know some of you in the poll didn't actually tell that entertainment uses artificial intelligence. Interestingly enough, many of the companies like Netflix and Hotstar and Amazon Prime and others use a tremendous amount of data to be able to give you the best entertainment in the fastest way for you possible. So a couple of examples on how AI is used as entertainment gets delivered in your living room is as you start watching some of these movies or TV shows or your favorite genre, people who watch similar things and what else they have watched start to get presented to you so that they become recommendations based on your interest mapped with a community of people that have similar interests. So there is artificial intelligence, a lot of data mining that happens as they provide the first list of labels that are there in your screen so that you can pick from the right kind of shows and TVs and movies that you want to watch. So the way that gets rendered in those different stamp size, thumbnails are all very curated based on what you like and what you've seen and what others similar to you have seen and looked at. What's even more interesting is AI is also used to create the right kind of thumbnail that they put in that small little picture as you scroll through on Netflix or Amazon Prime or any one of these entertainment online OTT channels. What I mean by that is you could have many different scenes and frames in a particular movie, let's say. But if you are a person that likes a specific aspect of that genre, a particular frame of that is put in that thumbnail versus something that's different. So you feel like comedy versus action, then they pick the right kind of action scenes that you might like based on all the action movies that you've seen and put that as a thumbnail for that particular movie so that it appeals to you and you will have a better way to make a decision on what you want to watch. So that's some example of AI and how AI gets used in entertainment. AI in the medical field is another fascinating space. Um, as much as we may think, hey, is it really possible? Don't you not we need the doctors and the specialists for us to do all the diagnostics and everything? Absolutely, we do need them. But AI plays a big part in helping diagnostic as well as pharma industry. Give you a small example. Imagine the hundreds and thousands of X-rays and MRIs and radiological images that are out there. If you need every radiologist to spend quality time to look at those films to give the perfect diagnostic for a critical patient, the time, effort that needs to be taken, and the amount of time somebody has to wait for that to happen, not only the person who's waiting, but the next person and the person after. So one of the places where AI plays a big part in helping is the radiologist. Take the images, AI can do a lot of pattern and image recognition to be able to find the minute variances that are needed to find what's a problem versus not a problem, and provide that as a cue or a hint for the radiologist to make that quick diagnosis so that they save time. They also have precision because the machine has done it ahead of time so that they can spend quickly the time to be able to get that. So that's one example. Another example is as we look at the pharmaceutical industry, the drug industry, before a particular medicine comes out, there is a tremendous amount of data points, billions of data points that needs to be collected to see if a particular recipe of a medicine will work or not. To be able to do that, there is a lot of data available that needs to go through technology and AI techniques to be able to help the pharmaceutical industry. That's another area. The last one, which I really like a lot, and of course I like all of these, but I've kind of felt more closely is, given the pandemic, how many of us have started to worry about going to a clinic or a hospital, even for common ailment that we usually used to do before? It made us really worry and worried about stepping into hospitals. A lot of us have used video consultation. And when you do this, or when you go to a doctor visit, a lot of us want to go in and go out quickly. We don't want to sit there. We don't want to wait in the crowd. We don't want to be put in multiple rooms. So there are AI applications that can take your basic vitals, quick checks on your BP, your sugar, maybe your temperature, few clinical things that the doctor would do. The AI can take those symptoms and quickly give what can be the possibilities for the doctor to quickly diagnose. Part of this is not to replace the doctor, but to increase the precision, improve the time and efficiency, so that our experience, particularly when we are sick, becomes a lot more better. And then this is important if it's a life-threatening or a life-saving diagnostic to be done. So that's another one. And of course, as you start to do a lot of video consultation, when you get into a hospital or something for online, you can get into a chat bot. You get into somebody who cuts into a chat window and asks you for the symptoms. When you give the symptoms, oh, I've had fever, my throat aches, 3-4 days, some of this goes into the back end for doing a quick symptom-based AI diagnostic that the doctor will use. So that's another fascinating area of how AI gets used in medicine. You all know this. I think I shouldn't teach based on what I saw on the poll. You're all pros in how to use online shopping, so you know how online shopping works. So AI plays a big part in online shopping, be it Amazon, Flipkart, or whatever your favorite online shopping portal is. Again, recommendation engine, picking the right products that you want based on the price, based on the brand you've used before, makes it more a faster, reliable experience for you. Not to forget, a big amount of investment also goes into making online shopping just like going into a store. You got to imagine how many amount of products people are buying and returning. One of the places where the online shopping industry is spending time is to make the experience online as good as you walking into a shop, picking up something, looking at it, and then deciding your buying decision, right? Making your buying decision so that you don't return. So there's a lot happening behind how to take the product and give that experience just like you're getting into a store, so that they can minimize the returns. A return is not only a negative shopping experience for the buyer, it's also a big overhead for the companies that are doing online, just sending this back and forth. So AI is playing a big part in improving that experience. AI is also used by a lot of the warehouses. When you order something and then you get it and you can track it, these are not coming from the manufacturing where it's built. There is a lot of warehouses where it gets collected, the time taken for it, and how well it gets packaged, how quickly it can come to you. A lot of supply chain data mining goes into it, and a lot of artificial intelligence plays into the shopping space as well. So that's in a glimpse of where AI gets used in shopping. Now let's shift gears a little bit. I gave you a flavor of what where AI touches a lot of our lives today. Some of it we recognize, some of it we don't. But it kind of gives you an idea about how critical and pervasive this technology is becoming in our day-to-day lives, and it's here for to stay. Let's get a little bit nerdy, right? So I'm from Intel. I got to talk technology a little bit. I'm going to get those technology juices flowing. We've got this AI ready generation. How is AI different from conventional programming? Some of you, I know, WhiteHat Jr. trains a lot of kids to program. So, you know programming now. How is it different? Is it because there is data processing? And I talked about a lot of data. I probably used the word data probably 10, 20 times in the last 10 minutes. Is it data processing? Is it pattern recognition? Is it the learning and feedback? We always like this answer, right? All of the above. Is it the all of the above? Let's look at the poll. Let's see what's happening here. I'm sure you guys are already typing in your answers. Ah, well, this is a big winner, right? 94% says all of the above. You all got it. I still know some of them are thinking it's probably one or the other. There's a big part that plays in each one of them, but honestly, it all comes together to make AI what it is as a technology. And that's the big difference from conventional programming. So what is conventional programming? Let's look at it, right? When you do conventional programming, I'd like to call this as fixed input output versus learn, solve, and adapt. Learn, solve, and adapt is more like us, intelligent, human intelligence. Fixed input and output seems a little bit more machine-like, right? So let's look at it. So what's the conventional programming? You have a program, you write a program, obviously, you feed the program into the computer, you give it some data. We call it input data. Some of you've done programs, you know what's an input. And when you give these two, you get a result. And that's the fixed input and output. But of course, it's a big part of programming. Conventional programming uses this model. What happens in AI is slightly different. It's subtle but big in difference. You don't just program to give one result. You give lots of data and you give the computer lots of results that you think are the results for the data you gave. And you give that to the computer. And of course, you do some programming as well. And then what the computer does is it predicts. It predicts answers. It gives you a variety of different scenarios that you can go solve, not just one, two solution. The fixed input and output is like you give a few, based on that, it'll give you some output. You give something very difficult, it won't know. It'll give you an error or it'll tell you, the program doesn't, hasn't been programmed to give you the result. What AI does is it takes lots and lots of data. It takes a lot of results based on the data, takes it as a programming model. It builds a whole bunch of model. It predicts answers and feeds it back, because sometimes the prediction will be good, sometimes it may not. You've heard people say, hey, my AI model works 80%, 90% of the time, 95% of the time. Or you will hear people say, my AI model is still learning, the accuracy is getting there. They're solving very complex problems. They're solving large scale problems. So prediction and learning and adapting is a big part of AI. And that's what is different from conventional programming. So, I should have clicked this before, but there's a lot of data. And when you give a lot of data, you have patterns. So let's give an example, right? A lot of data could mean, traffic in the road. That's a lot of data. You know how many cars go every hour in a particular street. Then you can start to predict. Meaning you can say patterns that says you know what, if I go at 10 a.m. in this particular part of the city, I'm guaranteed it'll take me 1 hour. And I know that if I go in that time, my commute time is going to be high. That's prediction. Then you start to train. Oh, okay, that's true, but today is a Sunday. 10 a.m. may not be that bad, or it could be that, oh, may not be that bad because they just opened up another highway just parallel. It's another road that can take us there. So you start to train, you start to correct, and you start to give recommendations. And that's how the whole artificial intelligence paradigm works. Subtle but big difference compared to conventional programming. And again, scale of data is a big thing. Training, learning, and predicting is another big part of AI. So we looked at a whole bunch of things that we're doing and we are touching in our lives as artificial intelligence going across online shopping, entertainment, health, traffic, comfort. Let's look at some of the AI related new experiences that we will see for sure. This AI ready generation will see in the decades and the years to come. A couple of examples that I want to call out. One of them is just the assisted driving assistance. You'll start to see this a lot. In fact, you'll see this as a science fiction or more in Western countries where we're not far behind. Mahindra and Mahindra just introduced XUV 700 with a lot of driver assistance technology. Thousands of hours were spent driving cars through various traffic conditions in India to look at not only what other vehicles are there. It looked at we have very unique driving style and driving mechanism compared to other countries. We honk, we change lanes, we overtake on the left and right, if possible even all over the place. So thousands of hours were spent to look at how traffic works in India. During that thousands of hours, it was trained to recognize different kinds of vehicles. We have all kinds of vehicles, not just cars. We have bicycles, we have non-automotive, but mobile vehicles on Indian roads. We have animals, we have pedestrians, we have cycles. We have all kinds of conditions that are recognizable hazards on the road that gets trained. Then the whole road condition itself, wide roads, narrow roads, roads with potholes, roads that are dug up, roads that we create ourselves because we don't like what we see that is not a road, going over a makeshift pedestrian that became a road, all of those things. And what's happened is, over taking all of the data, there are two aspects of this whole assisted driving. One is you want to model. So you take all of this historical or learning data to model so that you can make the right decision when driverless car or assisted driving based cars are on the road. So these thousands of hours that I talked about is to model, is to learn about all of these conditions, about pedestrians, vehicles, driving style, road conditions and everything. And then you do what is called as real-time application of this data. Because once that vehicle, the XUV 700, for example, is on the road, it starts to make key decisions based on the data that it had. What are some of the decisions? Emergency braking system. Real quick, because you've recognized certain aspect that when you see a similar scenario or you can predict that, let's assume you're driving at 50 kilometers per hour and the traffic condition has said that in about 300 meters, there is a traffic jam because the signal is not working or there is an accident. Certain things will kick in the car to caution you to slow down. And if you still don't slow down, certain things will kick in for you to actually go hit the emergency braking system. Then there is the whole adaptive cruise control. This is happening. Our roads are getting bigger, our highways are really getting good. So people can get into cruise control, and what are the safe ways of doing that? Lane assist or lane keeping assistant. We, as a generation, at least I want to tell us, but hopefully not you all, the new generation, we'd like to switch lanes at our will whenever we want. It's good and bad. There are some good things that the AI assisted driving can help in helping us keep in the lane. And of course, traffic jam assistant I talked about is another big area. So some things that we think is science fiction is not really science fiction. It's happening. It's there today. It'll come soon in most of the vehicles that we are driving. Some of it we may be already driving, we just didn't realize there was AI behind it. Um, Not many people pick sports when I ask the poll question, and that is a fact. AI is not as pervasive in sport, but it is coming. It is happening as we speak. I just want to give you one example here. There is a technology that Intel's working, and something that we've worked in the Olympics is 3D athlete tracking. And what this does is it's an AI-based coaching. In the past, and there are certain technologies where there's a lot of sensors put on the athletes, and then the sensors are used to tell them how well they're performing, what they need to do. That's one part. But coaching in general itself is a lot of naked eye, perception-driven coaching that's still happening in various sports in India. And that's been the case many, many, many years ago and continues to be the case even now. Technology is slowly coming. And what this is about is AI-based coaching, wherein you take data about an individual and use that data, personalize it, and give coaching hints that are more meaningful and impactful for the individual. The example that I'm showing here is basically there is a series of cameras that you see on the top left picture. These are high resolution cameras, no sensors on the body. The athletes are made to sprint, and when they sprint the distance, these cameras take a lot of images. They apply computer vision and AI, and they make skeletal mapping. Close to 22 different bone points are visualized for that individual, not general, for that specific individual. And then they come up with metrics. How fast did the person run? What was their center of gravity? And what was their angle that they used when they were sprinting? What kind of body and stability motions that they have with the head? Things like that that are very specific to that individual, and they start to plot. In fact, the graph that you see at the bottom right is a real-time graph. This is a skeletal mapping at the bottom of that graph of the individual running, and then it shows the velocity, it shows the center of mass, also things like gait. Are they leaning more on one side versus the angles versus the other? Are they putting more, let's say, pressure on one leg or the hip, one side or the other? This is also very important in performance sports for longevity. People get into stress fractures. You've heard of sportsmen and cricketers saying, "Hey, injury, they couldn't come back." Some of these things could be caught early, corrected certain postures, corrected certain techniques, so that they can also have longevity in their career. So again, it's an AI for tomorrow, but it's also something that's happening today. And we are a sports-savvy, sports enthusiast country. There is so much that AI can help in developing sports, and as technologists, we have a big responsibility there as well. That's that. And the last one's a little bit more fun, but also becoming important, where 3D reconstruction of a face is important. This is not because you want to change your face or anything. We all live a lot of our lives, many number of hours of our lives online, on social media. We play games. I know there's probably a lot of you are avid online gamers. I saw Samir and WhiteHat Jr. have some interesting throwaway gifts and quiz questions for gaming. One of the things on gaming is about the texture and how the characters are, as well as the avatars. You see a static image and you put your display picture. I think this generation is sick and tired of display picture that's a 2D image. You want it to be three-dimensional. There is the curves, there is the undulations, there are aspects of the texture in your face. For that 3D reconstruction of digital face becomes big, not only as avatars in social media that you want to put yourself, but also in game characters for more realistic rendering. That also uses tremendous amount of AI. How? Because you can't just magically take one image and say, let me give you a 3D image of your face and do it. It takes a tremendous amount of faces and characteristics and attributes of many, many images, and then building that over patterns, and then allowing you to be able to give the different textures. You've seen emojis being created that's personalized, right? It gets even more tricky as you build 3D emojis that is more realistic. Again, another aspect of what's to come and where AI is used. So, with that, just a quick glimpse of many things that are happening and that's to come and down the road with the AI. Now, let's get into another poll question so we can get you all engaged. I know you're waiting to answer some things. can students can students is a age unrestricted now, so it doesn't matter what age group you are in, but can learners, newbies, create AI models? That's the question. Let's see what you all answer. Wow, I love it. 95%, 94% of you said yes. Looks like, right after the session, we're going to get some AI engineers building new models. That's awesome. You're right. I think AI is becoming so pervasive. That's a lot of information, data, learning opportunities. It's easy to build these models. You can, and I'm going to give you that example in the next page. So give me a second. Um, I love the energy. I love the optimism. The learning appetite there in the poll. It's gone to 97%. That's fantastic. What I'm going to show you is really examples of what you just showed in the poll. It is possible to learn, and it is possible to build AI models, even though you are in the learning phase or as a newbie. You don't have to, spend years and years to become an expert to do an AI model. These are some great examples of real students that have built some fantastic, fascinating, socially impactful projects using AI. One is an AI music teacher democratizing learning music. I don't want to steal the thunder. You will hear it's a great idea how anybody can learn music without having to worry about accessibility and to a teacher or to an instrument. Autism assistant is another big inclusive thinking by a student who wants to help people who have autism and how they can stay engaged. Bookflix, we all like Netflix. Bookflix is another great aspect of personalized library. And a note maker, this is an interesting one where, with online classes, I know you all will agree with me, or maybe you won't, it depends. We all are in class, not we, you all are in classes and you're busy watching your lecture, and some of you probably are doing other things, but you want to take down notes and the teacher is doing something. I wish I could record, I wish I could tell stop and take some notes. It's a great idea somebody's working on with AI. Sign language, another really socially aware, impactful project that's more inclusive, bringing people with disabilities and how they can also benefit with AI technology. So I'm going to request to roll the video so we can look at what these projects look like.
Hi, I'm Rahul Jayakrishna, studying in grade 10 of Delhi Public School, Bangalore. I am a music lover, and I recently heard that for over 41% of low-income families, instrumental music lessons are beyond their budget and are too expensive. This is shattering over 1 million dreams every single year. Imagine the situation of a novice guitarist. He might not be able to do it unless he knows the chords and the notes of the tune. Even if he starts learning through remote tutorials, he may never know if he's playing the chords right or not. Being an AI enthusiast, I thought of mixing the best of both worlds and to find out the chords of a piece of music. In the UI, there are two input options. You can either record the tune or you can upload a pre-recorded file. The audio is split into several segments based on silence, and this chroma CQT extraction is performed on each of the segment. And finally, the model uses convolutional neural network algorithms to predict the chord. The result is displayed, and which lists out the chords that was actually played. Besides, a MEL spectrogram is also plotted for the audio to describe the frequency of each note visually. Another use of this model is to find out the chords of a song. After rigorous processing, the AI displays the sequence of chords of a song. Now the novice guitarist can use this to try and play the song on his own. Finally, once the user has learned the chords, he can record his own attempt and see if the music matches the original version. Now the model will display the list of chords that the user has played incorrectly. In this way, constant and real-time feedback will help the user improvise his skills more effectively. Currently, the model works on a limited dataset of 10 chords and has an accuracy of 95%. Further, I'm going to be working on extending this project to not only all chords but also all notes on the guitar.
Hello, my name is Obronil Ghosh.
My name is Rishabh Besbarwa and we are both from DPS Bangalore East.
The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime is a book narrated by a 15-year-old, Christopher Boone, who describes himself as a mathematician with some behavioral difficulties. This book is widely regarded as an accurate illustration of a person with Asperger's syndrome. Asperger's syndrome is a condition on the autism spectrum that affects a person's ability to effectively socialize and communicate. Throughout the book, Christopher has often used emojis to convey his emotions, as human emotions were hard for him to understand. This also inhibited his social skills and made it difficult for him to converse with others. Just like Christopher, a lot of other children and people face this syndrome in real life as well. And thus, we built our AI model to help fight this disorder.
The AI Autism Assistant is an AI-based model which classifies the emotions of a person based on their voice and their facial expressions. Our AI model can work in three methods: an audio analysis, a video analysis, and an AV analysis. If I go for the AV analysis, it asks me for a voice recording and at the same time switches the webcam on for a live video footage. So while recording my speech, it also takes my live facial expressions through the webcam. A computer vision based model, which is based on TensorFlow, and a natural language processing model classify my emotions and then give me the predicted output. A user can go for either the audio only analysis or a video only analysis based on their feasibility.
As of now, our model can predict simple emotions such as happiness, sadness, anger, neutrality, etc. Our model also has an easy to use interface where one can get the desired results at the click of a button. Thus, our model can help people afflicted with autism spectrum disorders accurately understand the other person's emotion and help them converse better. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Abhiram Vijayaraj and I'm a 10th grade student studying in RCI's Kalyanagar.
Hello everyone, I'm Athar. I'm a student of class 9 and I study at Royal Concord International School, Bangalore.
We both love to read books and are regular visitors to the school's library. Every now and then, we go to the library, spend a considerable amount of time there in finding the right book to read and get that issued. Normally, anyone who is an avid reader goes through this process.
While this procedure has been used since years, it has some flaws. If a person has a specific book in mind, then there is an uncertainty of the book's availability. At the same time, others who do not have a specific book in mind spend a large amount of time finding a perfect book to read. Thus, we realize that this process can and should be optimized for feasibility.
Hence, we have come up with an AI-based personalized library assistant known as BookFlix. It aims to make a reader's life easier by recommending the perfect book in a jiffy.
The user interface can be installed in libraries as well as can be used by anyone. It collects information from regular users and keeps collecting new information from the people who are using the model for the first time. It has been trained on a data set of more than 500 books categorized into 8 different genres.
Our model understands the reading pattern of a user through his past activity and recommends the books users should consider reading this time. It uses an AI-based classifier to accomplish this task.
The user-friendly interface helps people browse through new editions in the library as well as browse through books that are available only at specific periods of time. Through this, people can find a perfect book to read hassle-free.
We wish to deploy this solution in the form of a website so that anyone in the world can use this prowess of artificial intelligence for book recommendations. We also plan to increase the database by adding more books to it and diversifying them into more genres. Our motto is read what you like, not what you get. And we strive to deliver the best for this.
Hello everyone, my name is Karthikeya Pandey. I'm a student of grade 11 from Delhi Public School, Bangalore. In recent times, when all our classes are being held online because students are staying at home, it has become hard to concentrate on topics due to multiple distractions around us. Because of this, a lot of concepts remain unclear, and this is impacting our knowledge and learning. Now, me being in grade 11 and preparing for JE does not make it easier for me. Not only students, but also people working from home online are facing this problem. To solve this problem, I came up with simple software known as NoteX. It records meetings and converts it into text, which further creates summaries, minutes of the meeting, and notes for the same. Once we log on to the system, it gives us three options to feed input. We can either insert pre-made text document or provide the software with a pre-recorded meeting in the WAV format, or directly record the meeting through the application. For instance, I provide the software with a pre-recorded meeting in the WAV format. It then records the meeting in a WAV format using Pi audio, which is then converted to text using the Google speech-to-text algorithm. A simple NLP-based model then punctuates the text, which is further summarized using an open source library known as Jensen. The final document is printed and displayed to the user for editing and reviews. One can also use this model to immediately summarize text documents. One simply has to insert a text document and receive the summary in a snap. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Talia Manoj and I am a student of class 10 in Vidya Mandir Estancia in Chennai. I recently got to know about artificial intelligence through the Intel AI for Youth program. In this journey, I was able to understand how AI has the power to ease our lives to a great extent. Hence, to make use of this, I started looking for problems around me that I could solve using AI. While doing so, I came across the scenario of differently abled people, especially the deaf and dumb. People who cannot speak or hear properly often have difficulty in communicating with others. These people use sign language to express their emotions and thoughts. Sign language comprises of various hand gestures that symbolize specific letters, words, and even emotions. But since it is very different from any other language used by normal people, there exists a gap in communication. In order to bridge this gap, I have come up with an AI-enabled solution, and my idea is called the Sign Language Translator. It detects all sign languages and converts it a commonly used language such as English. As soon as the model is turned on, the camera connected to it starts recording all hand gestures made in front of it. TensorFlow model working at the back end simultaneously converts the hand gestures to respective letters and prints them on the output screen. As soon as the user switches the camera off, the predicted letters are clubbed together to form meaningful words or sentences. Not only this, but the model also speaks it out loud at completion. To make this system, I have trained my model with numerous images of various hand gestures and tagged them with their respective letters. I wish to enhance it further to be able to predict emotions and whole words as well. With the help of this model, anyone can easily interact with people with hearing and speaking impairments and make the world more inclusive for them.
Hey, I hope you found that inspiring. Some really phenomenal projects by the students and kids. And if that wasn't inspiring, strongly request you to check your pulse. But that was fascinating for me, just to know the kind of problems that they're solving. Awesome. All right. So I know we're running out of time. So, this is just a quick page and saying, hey, we covered a lot of things today on the future of AI, where it can be applied whole bunch of these areas and domains that you see here, AI is being used. I scratched the surface. We talked about a few. A lot of career opportunities, be it a hardware chip developer or a software programmer or a data science analyst. There is a variety of careers that one can build with AI, but more importantly, AI can be used to solve social problems at the scale that the world needs, which is the biggest takeaway. Um, Last but not the least, there is always questions about, hey, we need to use AI responsibly, which is absolutely true. We need to make sure when we build these models that we're being inclusive and there is equitable access to this and not having any biased data as we feed data into these models. Of course, privacy and sensitivity of people's information and confidentiality is very important. Security and safety is another big aspect. The explainable use of AI is important because when you take any of these companies and technologies being used that I showed as example, it needs to be kept in mind that they spend a lot of time to make sure AI is used in a manner that somebody can explain clearly how it was designed and where it was used. Because if there is a problem, a defect, or a bug, they should be able to really go and fix where and which part of the AI programming model can they go address it. Is it in the data? Is it in the model? Is it in the prediction? Is it in the feedback loop? So it's important to design and structure it in a manner that it's explainable and able to find problems that you can go fix. Of course, respecting human rights goes without saying. It's very important as we embark into using a new technology in ways that are important for everyone on the planet. So with that, I want to wrap up. I know I wrapped up in a rush because we are running out of time, but I want to get Samir back. But happy AI learning. I hope this helped. And back to you, Samir.
Are you folks having fun? That's the bigger question. Wow, Gokul, your session had remarkable insights, and there couldn't have been a better platform to get to know how AI is shaping our future, and that too for the good. Now, I'm sure everyone watching us today had a great takeaway from your session. So first of all, thank you so much for that. But we're going to keep putting our young minds out here to test. And of course, we move on to our next step, which is the second set of reboot questions on Quiz Reboot. Guys, remember, all of you will have 30 seconds and you guys must answer the questions correctly. So Gokul, are you ready for it? You're going to giving them some hints as well when they're going to be answering these questions. Can we have the questions on screen, please? Here they are. The first question. Artificial intelligence is the process that allows computers to learn and make decisions like humans. Is it true? Is it false? Is it partially correct or not sure? Gokul, have a look at the polls. It's all going towards true. Are you feeling that's something that is possibly correct, or they should be thinking otherwise?
I think we should go with that. Yeah, it looks like let's go with the flow.
Go with the flow is what he's saying, and this flow might be the correct flow. Let's see what the answer is. That is the correct answer. Very well done, guys. 88% of you got that right. It is true. Artificial intelligence is a branch of computer science which aims to create intelligent machines so that machines can think intelligently in the same manner as a human does. So kudos to 88% of you. That was the first question. In case you got it wrong, fear not. There are 4 more coming your way. Gokul, if you're ready for the next one, here it is. Go. All right. Who is known as the father of AI? Is it Fisher Ada? Is it Alan Turing, sorry. Is it John McCarthy, or is it Alan Newell? Okay, 4 options on your screen. And there seems to be not that much of a convincing poll this time, Gokul. They're all going towards John McCarthy, 54%, but a few of them also turning towards Alan Turing. What do you think?
Turing certainly is a pioneer in the field of computer science, but I got to give this to John McCarthy. Some of you want to change your minds, but he was also the one who coined the word artificial intelligence. So that's, I would go.
He's guiding you, but he's also telling you it could be this way or that way. Well, 59% of them have said John McCarthy. What is the right answer? Let's see it. It is John McCarthy. Was a pioneer in the AI field, known as the father of artificial intelligence. Not only known as the father of AI, but also invented the term artificial intelligence. So kudos to 59% of you who got that right, although Turing was a tempting answer, but Mr. McCarthy all the way. All right, question number 3 coming on your screens. The application or applications of artificial intelligence are healthcare, gaming, entertainment, or all of the above? Could it be one of them? Could it be all of them? What are you thinking? I'm looking at these polls out here, Gokul. Everybody is kind of going with all of the above. A few of them are saying healthcare, entertainment, but
If
could one of the
if they were 50% awake, they get it right during this session.
All right, so they're all going towards all of the above, and I can tell you that all of the above is the right answer, applicable in all fields, inclusive the medicine field, automobiles, daily lifestyles, applications, electronics, communications, as well as computer networking systems. So well done to all the 91%, there were 92 earlier, but a few more questions for you guys to catch up in this race. Question number 4, which of the given language is not commonly used for AI? Lisp, is it Prolog? Is it Python? Or is it Perl? Okay, this seems a bit tricky. You want to guide them, Gokul? Want to guide them in terms of how they should be thinking?
Well, if I guide them, I can give them a clue and they can probably get it all.
Go for it.
Meaning, the snake can sometimes be the right thing.
Oh, it's not really a...
No. The question is which is not, right? Or which is?
Which of the given language is not commonly used for AI?
Okay, all right. So I misled you guys. So don't go there.
We'll give you a few more seconds. We'll give you a few more seconds. Tell us. Give us a nice clue.
The jewel cannot be an AI programmer, or the gemstone cannot be an AI tool.
Oh, are those some things of wisdom that you've just said? All right, let's see the answer. What is the answer? The answer is yes, Perl. Perl is the right answer amongst the given languages. It is not commonly used for AI. Lisp and Prolog are the two languages that have been broadly used for AI innovation. And the most preferred language, as he was saying, a snake is not a preferred thing, which is the Python for AI and machine learning. All right, well done. One more question coming your way, guys. One more question. Okay, self-driven cars are an example of what type of artificial intelligence capabilities? Is it reactive machines? Is it theory of mind? Is it limited memory? Or is it self-awareness? Think, guys. Reactive machines is what many people are saying, and quite a few are also going towards self-awareness. Gokul, are they thinking correct? Theory of mind.
This is an extremely tricky one, so I won't blame them.
Yeah.
The part that I would tell them is, think of this way: if you or your parent was driving the car, does it matter what happened 5 minutes ago, or does it matter what's happening now?
Oh, so being in the present, and let's see if they've got that clue towards giving the right answer. Is it towards the majority of 58? What is the answer?
It's the limited memory. So you being in the present is having being now. And part of the reason is also because, when you drive, a lot of that, like I said, is model that is there, but the decision is real time. And when you have to be real time, you got to use the memory that's there now than what's all happened before. That's where the model helps, but it's a trick one. That's a tough one.
It was a tricky one. Only 5% of our learners got that right. And for example, self-driving cars use sensors to identify civilians crossing the road, steep roads, traffic signals, and so on to make better driving decisions. So actually, the best job done by 5%, the thinking minds who got it done. For the remaining who didn't, well, don't worry about it. 5 more questions shall be coming your way in our next segment of this quiz as well. But that was a super exciting section in terms of the quiz. And now it's just not enough, Gokul, we have to pick your mind more. And you've answered and you've given us a great presentation, but it's some wonderful questions that the young minds, the young learners also want to ask you out there. So we have this very interesting format where we will float a few questions in front of the audience, and we'll ask them to vote for the question that they would want you to answer. We'll look at our poll and see which is their preferred question. Before we start our Q&A, personally, I have a question for you, Gokul.
Sure.
Now, how important is it for kids and people in general today to be up to pace with emerging trends in technology?
It is important if the scale of problem we want to solve is big. See, technology is helping only when you want to solve large, big problems, but simple problems too. It's good to stay abreast. And again, I don't want to turn this into you got to be a technology nerd. Everybody needs to. We all have many facets in our life. All that I would say is just add this one as well.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. So yeah, don't need to overindulge in it, but definitely have it in your sense of awareness that whatever new comes out, at least know what it's all about. Don't have to deep dive into it, right? Okay, here we go. We're going to deep dive into our poll questions now. They're going to come up on our screen. And here's our first set. Why AI? Why is there so much buzz about AI? Is it temporary? The second option is what kind of problems are best suited to be solved by AI? And I think we're going with a clear winner, which is 75%. What kind of problems, Gokul, are best suited to be solved by AI?
The best problems are the ones that where you have enough information or data. So again, I'll go back to give you a kind of a offhand example. If you want to feed somebody, you may buy a lunch and give it to a poor person. But if you want to try and feed every poor person in your neighborhood or in your city, the scale of the problem is very big that you can't pack and individually go do. So when the scale of the problem is big, most often you might want to think if I can apply AI concept because there is more data, there is more pattern to recognize, more intelligence to be brought in so that the solution can be effective for a large population that you can learn and bring it to rather than a point solution.
Okay.
So that's my kind of quick analogy.
Nice. And of course, the buzz about the AI, it's not temporary, right? It's only going to grow with time.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
We answered both your questions out there for you, but your preferred one of the second. Our next set of questions coming on your screen now, which is the existence of AI around us. How do you think usage of AI can be ethically managed, or what is the impact of AI on the education system? Quite even Stevens out here. 57, it's 50 right now exactly. We wait for a couple of seconds to see which way this flows. Okay, we're going to stop at that. How do you think usage of AI can be ethically managed?
I think I ran through that page real quick. The most important thing is going to be the fact that you want to be unbiased when you're doing all of these data model. You want to make sure that you're inclusive as you create these data sets so that it's not biased to one particular population or one particular segment of the data. So that's one. Second thing is you certainly want to apply it in places where confidentiality, privacy is maintained. There is many ways to do the data collection. For example, you can collect data about a vast the population of people on preference without really knowing who is preferring what. So thereby you have that. So it's extremely important to bring in unbiased data set, inclusive aspects, ability to reliably test it before you deploy it so that you know what the problems are, and a way to actually find problems in your technology so that you can go fix it in a manner that it's not gone out of hand. You don't want it to be like a forest fire. You don't know where to go stop the fire, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the explainable part of how you designed your AI system.
Fantastic. All right, moving on to our third set of questions, which is importance of AI as a skill. Is AI skill needed only for engineers, computer scientists, and software professionals? Do we need to learn programming to develop AI skills or expertise? I think they're clearly running towards the first one. Is AI skill needed only for engineers, computer scientists, and software professionals? Gokul?
The answer is no. I think the language of communication that we use, we're not saying use only English, right? We need a language to communicate. Such is going to be the pervasiveness of understanding AI. You don't need to be a nerd and solve technology problems with AI, but you should be able to, in your own field, be able to see the advantages or the solutions being brought with AI. You could be a social major, social scientist. You could be a humanities major, an arts major. You could be a civil engineer. You could be a doctor. But I think all of the professions, in some sense, will have aspects of artificial intelligence allowing you to do your profession, to you do your job more effectively and better. And again, I'll go back to the scale of the solution will drive whether you need it or not. But I think it's going to be something that's not restricted only to the software and computer professionals per se.
Thank you so much for that answer, Gokul. We're going to go to the last set of questions now, coming on your screen. The 3 key information. What are the 3 misconceptions about AI that you as an AI expert want to debunk? What are the 3 key advices you would like to give to the young AI enthusiasts who want to study and pursue a career in this stream? Well, pretty even Stevens again. Oh no, it's jumped on to 81%. 3 advice that you would like to give to the young AI enthusiasts who want to study and pursue a career in this stream.
Okay, I'll give the advice. I don't know if I can keep the count, but I'll try to keep it to 3. The most important thing is take a problem that you're passionate about. Forget AI, forget the technology. Take a problem that you want to solve, that you're most passionate about, that you can relate to. And I think that's the fundamental and most important advice. The second thing is don't get overwhelmed by the amount of things that you need to learn to deliver or make an AI-based solution. It's an ocean, but it's also got lots of simple things to do, so take a staged approach. The third one would be, if you can, take a problem statement that has an impact beyond yourself. Social problems, if you can.
Perfect, Gokul. Thank you so much for those lovely answers. We end our set of 4, and of course, we end this first session. That was amazing, Gokul. I'm sure the audience had a lot to take away from your super insightful chat, and blows your mind to know that what's happening in the world of AI. Pleasure, Gokul, to have you amongst us, and we look forward to having you back here and telling us a whole lot more. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Amir. Thanks, CreatorSpace, for the opportunity. Thank you.
Well, that's Gokul for you, who gave us an insight. He'll be back here sometime later. But here's a general reminder for what's on offer today. We have the slides on our screen, please. Yes, we have the slides on our screen telling us what we have with the quiz reboot. It was super fun, questions about AI and its applications around us. And look at the prizes, guys. A Nintendo Switch Lite, an electric guitar, and look what we have this time. It is a robotics set for all the curious and innovative minds. Come on, guys, show us some love through emojis and, of course, through chat. Tell us how you're feeling. Tell us what you'd want to hear. And we're right here on this event to make a note of all of what you need. So, of course, it'll be divided into 3 sets of 5 questions, each spread across the event. So stay tuned for a whole event in case you want your chances of winning to become better. Now would be the perfect time, of course, also to join the event in case you're on YouTube. First set will be up soon. But before we move to that, the last set of questions, in fact, we have one more amazing giveaway for all of you. Book a free trial class with us. Book one, go through it entirely. Could be math, could be coding, could be anything else. And you could be a lucky winner of a PlayStation 4 as well, guys. So lots to give away, lots, of course, to learn. And we're going to continue to ride on this highly knowledgeable journey on AI. Let's talk about our next esteemed speaker now, who is a PhD student from Harvard. He is a BS in physics and MS in mathematics from Yale University. Not only this gentleman is also a classical guitarist. Let us welcome Alex. I am super excited. Are you guys? Well, then make sure you show us some love through emojis and reactions. Hi, Alex. It's an absolute pleasure for me and the audience to have you amongst us. A privilege for us to be listening to you for the next 1 hour as you take us a step closer to the journey in the field of AI. How are you doing today?
Hi, Samir. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm here in New York, and I'm excited to be a part of this.
Well, we're super kicked. We can't wait to hear what you have to tell us. Alex will be enlightening us with the evolution of AI and how math has contributed to the growth of AI and a lot more. Therefore, guys, stay tuned with us and have lots of fun during the session, followed by another round of quiz created by Alex himself. Now, Alex has not gone very easy on you guys. The questions he has for us are not easy at all. So bring your A game onto the table. We're glad to be associated with you, Alex. And without further ado, I'll hand over the stage to you and let you take our audiences to a whole new world of AI while I join you back after the session for the quiz. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Samir. I will take things from here. Hi, everybody. It's very nice to see all of you. I'm going to try to share screen and show you some slides on AI and mathematics and my journey towards that. Give me 1 second. Okay, cool. All right, hopefully you can all see me. Great. Cool. All right, I am going to talk about how mathematics builds modern artificial intelligence. So my name is Alex Atanisov, and I am a PhD student at Harvard University. Cool. I'm just making sure that you guys can see everything well. Great. Let's present this. So, how mathematics builds modern artificial intelligence. About me, just a little bit about me. I was born in Sofia, Bulgaria, which is a small country around the region of Greece. And I was raised, for the most part, when I was a child, I was raised in Bulgaria. This is a picture of our cathedral and the mountains in the background. But when I was very young, I immigrated as a child to Washington, D.C., which is the capital here in the United States. And I went to high school there, and I also went to Yale University for college. This is a picture of Yale. This is sort of one of the more larger liberal arts colleges in the United States. And while I was at Yale, I developed an interest in mathematics and theoretical physics. I got my master's degree in pure mathematics, and I studied both mathematics, theoretical physics, and published a few things along the way. So this is a picture of me graduating. My dad is taking a picture of me getting my master's degree in mathematics, and this is one of the papers I put out early on in my undergraduate career. So, so that's, sorry about that. Good. And I'm right now at Harvard doing my PhD in theoretical physics, and I specialize in artificial intelligence. And you might wonder what theoretical physics has to do with artificial intelligence, or what math has to do with artificial intelligence. And hopefully I'll get the chance to tell you a little bit about that. So what do I do? In the past, I did a lot of fundamental work on theoretical physics, fundamental physics, specifically string theory and black holes, trying to understand the quantum mechanical nature of space-time. So these are a couple of papers that I put out quite recently on string theory and using techniques from advanced mathematics to understand string theory. But more recently, I've been interested in using ideas from mathematics to understand neural networks. So this is a recent paper that I put out on neural networks and combining ideas from neural network theory with other areas of AI. This is something that we put out just a couple of months ago with my collaborators over at the Department of Applied Mathematics and the Center of Brain Science over at Harvard. And I try to combine ideas from physics and neuroscience and cognitive science and mathematics to understand neural networks. So I take inspiration from these fields. But among all of the fields that I take information from, the most important field is mathematics, because mathematics underlies all of these fields. A good understanding of mathematics can help you do good work in physics, understand the brain in neuroscience, and become a good computer scientist. And so my journey towards AI has been kind of nonlinear. When I was an undergraduate, so when I was in college, I was always interested in neuroscience and understanding the brain because it's a fascinating subject, and physicists are interested in understanding the world around us more broadly. But so I was interested in neuroscience, but I didn't know sort of where to apply the techniques that I was learning in mathematics. So I joined a research group at John Murray's lab at Yale, and we put out this paper on studying real neural networks, like biological neural networks, by using mathematical models to model them. And my understanding, or sort of my inspiration, was that the best way to understand the brain is to have a good mathematical model of how cognition works, of how thinking works. So physics is very useful for studying how neural networks process information. And neural networks can be both biological neural networks, like in the human brain, or the artificial neural networks that power AI systems today. So for that reason, I decided to pursue a physics PhD. I could become a better physicist, and by becoming a better physicist, I could gain the mathematical skill set necessary to make fundamental advances in neural network theory and in AI. So I've mentioned neural networks, and one might ask, what is an artificial neural network? And that's not something that many people know. It's actually a relatively new popular topic that 10 years ago no one knew that much about in the general public. So an artificial neural network is a mathematical concept inspired by how the human brain processes information. And it consists of neurons and synapses. So on the left-hand side here, this is what a real section of the brain looks like. You have synapses, which are these cords connecting to these central points called the neuron. Sometimes it's called the axon, but the synapses are the connections between the neurons. And what people do is they take a mathematical abstraction of this biological object, where you have a bunch of neurons, which are just these vertices, and they're connected together by these synapses. The computer scientists sometimes call them weights. And so information flows from the input to the output. And this is a mathematical model of how cognition works. So now you might hear many different terms thrown around. You might hear the words artificial intelligence thrown around, and machine learning, and neural networks. Neural networks is a very specific type of machine learning. So neural network theory, which is also sometimes called deep learning, is a special kind of machine learning. Machine learning is teaching machines and computers to be adaptable, to learn from data, to learn from the world around them. And one way to do that is by pretending that the machine is some sort of model of a brain, some sort of model of cognition. And by training neural networks, you are making an adaptive machine. So neural networks are a form of machine learning. And artificial intelligence is broader than that. There are non-adaptive algorithms that can still fall under the umbrella of AI, like chess algorithms that don't necessarily learn from data but are just hardwired, are still artificial intelligence. But neural networks are sort of one of the most biologically inspired forms of machine learning. And that's what's particularly interesting to me. So I'm going to have a quick poll, and maybe I'll hopefully people can see this. My first poll is, do you think that we can build artificial neural networks that can learn and think like people? So that's the first poll. Do you think that we can build artificial neural networks that can learn and think like people? And I'm gonna actually unshare my screen just so I can see your guys' reactions to this. So hopefully someone's made a poll. Yeah. Very cool. Okay, so 98% of you think that we can build neural networks that can learn and think like people. That's an amazing number, because 10 years ago, people thought neural networks were a failed attempt. I think if I had asked this question 10 years ago, before the success of artificial neural networks, many fewer people would agree that we can do so. Okay, so that's very cool to see 97% of you agreeing. Okay, now I'm gonna go to the next one. Do you think we should? Do you think we should build these systems that can learn and think like people, that can perhaps replace people and automate jobs, even if it's more advanced technology? Sorry, let me get rid of that. Do you think we should do that? And I'm excited to see what you guys have to say on that topic. Interesting. Oh, wow. This is really interesting to me because in America, there's like a lot of like pushback against building neural networks and the problems, the social problems that they might cause, et cetera, et cetera. But I see an overwhelming majority of you, 93%, think that we should go ahead and do it for the sake of improving technology and seeing where things take us. That's really cool. Okay, let's keep on going. Cool. Yeah, hopefully you guys can see everything again. I'm just gonna check. There we go, okay, good. So why are neural networks important? What's the big deal about neural networks? Are they just these mathematical objects that are interesting? Are they supposed to be models of the brain? Why are they important to us? Why am I giving a talk on them? Well, for a long time, it was just an abstract idea that was not widely accepted. The idea was an image, like an image would be fed into a computer, and then these neural networks would scan over the image. Don't worry too much about the technical details of this picture, but this was like the old school way of thinking that neural networks would work, and they would, you know, learn features of the image and eventually be able to categorize it and understand things about the image. And for a long time, this was a nice idea, but it didn't have any practical significance because computers just weren't powerful enough to implement this amazing idea. But that all changed in 2012 during a competition called the ImageNet competition. ImageNet is the largest, or at the time, the largest database of images ever compiled. It's thousands and thousands, millions of images of different objects. And the challenge is to build an algorithm, whether a neural network or a more general machine learning algorithm or any algorithm that would be able to classify these images as well as possible. And in 2011, there was some algorithm that had nothing to do with neural networks that could classify all but 26% of, so it had an error of 26% on the classification of this giant database. And in the next year, this man called Jeffrey Hinton and his students built this neural network called AlexNet, having nothing to do with me. I'm Alex, but I was not a part of this project. That jumped it down from 26% down to 16.4% error. Now, you might say 16.4% error is still a lot. You know, how do we know that that's that big of a deal? But this jump of 10 points had never been seen before in the history of this competition. And this is really the event that triggered the neural network revolution, and it triggered the machine learning and AI revolution that we all live in today. So the ImageNet competition is maybe the most significant recent event in the history of AI. And ever since that moment, future neural networks have gotten better and better and better. Humans get 5% of the images wrong. And after 2015, neural networks started outperforming humans at this task of image recognition. So they really got to the point where not only was a neural network competitive with a human in visual object recognition, but it was even better. And now they're everywhere. And I want to give an example of one working. So hopefully you guys can hear this. I don't want to, so this is going to look very fancy. The point is not to understand it. The point is just to see how interesting it looks to see a neural network propagating information forward. So hopefully you can see this very well. This is the simplest neural network called a perceptron. The data is fed in, and in this case, the data is just handwritten digits. And let me just make sure that you guys see it well. Good, okay. The data is just handwritten digits. It's fed into like this cluster of neurons. The neurons try to do a computation, and then it outputs what they think that handwritten digit is. This neural network actually isn't particularly good at that task because it only has a single sort of cluster of neurons. The next sort of radical change to the neural network is to add multiple layers to the network. And this is what we call deep learning. So we take the input, we feed it into one layer of neurons, we feed that layer into another layer of neurons, and we feed that layer into another layer still. And so this is called a multi-layer neural network. And this starts performing at human level. So this is an animation of the neurons firing, the connections between the neurons. The white dots means that the neurons are on and they're firing electrical signals, and the black dots mean that the neurons are off. And again, this isn't a biological neural network, it's just a abstract mathematical idea. The convolutional neural network is an even more complicated type of network architecture inspired by the human visual system. And this is one of the highest performing neural networks for this task of all time. It's multi-layer, but the layers are very specialized and mimic the way that the human eye and the human visual system processes information. And then there are some more out there models that people hope might one day work, but are still not quite there yet, that you're about to see. And that's called a spiking neural network. A spiking neural network is inspired by biology to try to have the neurons fire in the most realistic biological way possible, and it's used by neuroscientists, but it's not yet used in artificial intelligence. So this might be an idea that's ahead of its time. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to make spiking neural networks work and classify objects correctly. So those are some examples of neural networks in action. Cool. So hopefully you guys can see everything. Great. Now, let's do a quick poll. And my question for the audience is, do you enjoy studying mathematics? Do you enjoy studying mathematics? And I'll stop my share to hear what you guys have to say. And again, most of you say that you really enjoy it, which is, again, kind of interesting because there aren't that many students that I know in the US that enjoy math at all. Actually, most people are really afraid of mathematics and don't like it very much because it's very hard and it's not taught particularly well. So, okay, so most of you enjoy studying mathematics. My next question is, do you think mathematics is important? So do you think mathematics is something that matters to society? Do you think mathematics is something that everyone should know? Do you think mathematics is important? Cool. Wow, that's like all of you. Amazing. That's a huge number of you that think it's both worth studying and important. I wasn't expecting it to be so high. I really mean that. Okay, well then it'll be very easy to convince most of the audience why it's worth studying mathematics to understand neural network theory. So let's go back to here. What can neural networks do for the world? They can recognize objects. That's what I was sort of showing you earlier with ImageNet and the example of the neural network recognizing handwritten digits. They can also recognize speech and produce speech. So Siri, all of these virtual assistants were made by Apple and Google and others. They can recognize human speech very, very well now. And moreover, they can output speech that sounds very human-like. And in both of these processes, companies are using deep neural networks ubiquitously. They're also good for, like I said, they're good for generating speech. A neural network knows how to speak very well, but they're also good for generating visuals. So let me give you an example of what it means for a neural network to generate visuals. This is a neural network actually using a physics-inspired training algorithm to generate very realistic versions of faces. Let me show you. All of these faces are artificially constructed faces. They don't exist in the real world. But you can change the pose of the head, and then you can change the age. And none of these people actually exist. But because of deep learning, you can create any combination of faces that you want. So this is an example of a generative model. And the last thing that I think is worth mentioning, although there are many other applications, is that they can also solve very important problems for the world and important problems in science. So this past year, DeepMind, which is one of the leading AI companies, released a paper on that basically solved the problem of understanding how proteins fold, given the DNA sequence, what type of shape a biological chemical creates. So this is a very wide range of applications. And so what can math do for neural networks? This is the only part of my talk that I'm going to get a little bit technical. And if you don't understand it too well, don't worry about it. I'll give references for where you can learn more at the end of the talk. But the way neural networks work is actually pretty basic mathematically. They multiply lots of numbers together and then add them up in a very specific way. And in mathematics, there's actually a very specific word for the type of thing that neural networks do. And it's called matrix multiplication. And maybe some of you have seen matrix multiplication before. It's a way to multiply tables of numbers to get new tables of numbers. And the whole aim of neural networks is to be able to multiply humongous matrices, and you want them to be able to do that as fast as possible. So it's actually just a problem in math. You want to be able to make matrix multiplication happen as quickly as possible using the most powerful algorithms and the most powerful computers. And this part of math, if you're interested in learning it, is called linear algebra. And it is the most important type of math that one needs to learn to be able to work in AI, data science, and statistics effectively. So it's called linear algebra. It's the studies of tables of numbers, matrices, and how they interact. So neural networks also learn from data. And the way they learn is that they change the connectivity between their neurons. They optimize their connections. And this study of optimization is a part of math called multivariable calculus. And multivariable calculus is the second most important field of math that you would need to learn in order to understand how AI algorithms, and especially neural networks, learn from data. So linear algebra and multivariable calculus are very, very important. And so what can math do for AI? Well, we need faster computers in order to train larger and faster networks that can do inference better, that can learn from data more efficiently. So on the first hand, we need faster computers. And it's a fact actually that every 2 years, computers get twice as powerful. That's an amazing fact. It is the case that the computers out there from 2 years ago are actually twice as weak as the ones that you have now. Computers grow in their power in this very definite rate that is amazing. You can kind of see the progress of technology in society by just tracking the rate of growth of computational power. And this has actually been observed, and it's called Moore's law. It's this law that computers get twice as powerful each time, every 2 years. And here's an actual picture of Moore's law. I don't want you guys to get scared by how many things there are on this picture, but basically the y-axis is how powerful the computer is. They say it's transistor count, but this is basically how many microchips there are in a computer, how strong a computer is. And here the graph is the years. So you'll notice these numbers are going up by 10, maybe every 10 years roughly, actually a little bit less than every 10 years. And you can see almost an exact straight line plot of like the most powerful computers in the world and how they always double every 2 years. This is just an observed trend about the way that society has advanced since the 1970s or even earlier. And we believe that this is going to continue for the future. But we need people, we need very smart physicists, electrical engineers to continue this trend growing so that computational power can continue growing at the rate that it is. So we need advances in mathematics to come up with new technologies to extend Moore's law. And we need it to invent new algorithms for building and training neural networks. And mathematics is going to play a really, really important part in both of these fields. So, okay, now for my last poll, and this is not supposed to be a hard poll, but it's more a curiosity. Have you guys heard of Moore's law before? Is Moore's law something that is taught or something that you've seen on Wikipedia or anywhere else before? So I will, again, stop my screen share. Okay, so finally, it's not as well known to younger people, but it's really, really important. Actually, a fourth of you have heard of Moore's law. And it's a really important law to know if you study computer science, statistics, or mathematics. It is really the law that governs how quickly our society is growing in technological progress. And extending it and keeping it that way is vital to sort of keeping society going at the rate that it's going. So I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to ask the last question. Have you heard of a matrix before? That fancy thing that I showed earlier on, that table of numbers. Have you heard of a matrix, not from the movie The Matrix, obviously, but as a mathematical object, have you heard of matrices before? Okay, so actually, like 2/3 of you have heard of it, and I imagine it's the older students that have heard of matrices. So that's very good. They're very important things to know how to work with and study and understand in order to sort of do well in the field of AI. Okay. Let me share one more time. So now the last part of my presentation is how can you get started with sort of learning the mathematics for AI and then applying it to realistic settings. So like I mentioned, the mathematical things that you want to learn are certainly linear algebra and multivariable calculus, and you want a very good background in probability theory and basic programming, especially in Python. And for all of these, basically, the number one thing I recommend that I myself have used for almost everything that I've learned is Khan Academy. So Khan Academy is this amazing website that teaches you basically any part of math that you would want to learn. And Salman Khan himself is this amazing explainer that knows exactly what he's doing. And then the other channel that I really recommend is this channel 3 Blue 1 Brown, which is a newer channel on YouTube that is this amazing explainer that uses these graphics that are super high quality to explain a variety of parts of math. But he has these great video lectures on neural networks from the ground up. So if you go on YouTube and you look at either Khan Academy is a really good way to learn the details. But 3 Blue 1 Brown is a really good way to get inspired and understand all of the really cool parts about neural network theory and other parts of math too. And then the last thing, when you want to really get your hands dirty, if you want to actually program these things and share code and see other people's code, there's again a pretty recent advancement in sharing AI scripts and AI programs that Google open sourced and made it completely available, at least accessible from many countries. And it's called Google Collaboratory, or Google Colab for short. I use this for almost all of my projects when I'm studying neural networks, and it's been such a big help because I can have access to Google's computers and their GPUs, and they give anyone access to do their own AI projects this way. So thank you everyone for listening to my presentation. I hope you learned something new, and I hope that it was interesting to you. Please stick around for a quiz and also some questions. Cool.
Wow, Alex, I can tell you this, you blow my mind. We keep thinking that the future is about to come and what will happen in the future. And it's good to know that the future is now. It's amazing to see how AI has evolved over the years, where we're at and where we're going to be at. I am absolutely surprised and how easy our lives have become with the existence of AI in almost everyday technology we use. And it's amazing how we're fortunate to have it around us. And thank you. We're so fortunate to have you here with us as well, Alex. And we have him now also. Alex, who's designed a quiz for us. As I said, it's not going to be an easy one, Alex. It's not going to be easy, right? It's going to be slightly tricky.
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay. We got a set of questions. The last 5 in Quiz Reboot, part 3. Alex, if you're ready, let's bring on our first question, guys. Here it is on your screen. What is an artificial neural network? Is it a biological model of the human brain that should be able to think like a human, a mathematical abstraction inspired by human animal brains that can perform mathematical operations, or is it a prosthetic device to interface with the human brain? Oh, wow. Alex, any 60% are going towards the mathematical abstraction. Which way should they be thinking, first of all?
I think that people are getting the right ideas. I think they're split between 2 very reasonable answers. Yeah, I think, how do I say? So yeah, the question is, what is an artificial neural network? And I think artificial is a very important adjective here.
Okay.
So yeah,
57%. Let's see if they've got it right. What is the right answer? Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Mathematical abstraction inspired by human animal brains that can perform mathematical operations. You want to dwell a bit on that and explain it to our young minds?
Yeah, that was a tricky question. I realized that a lot of people might think that artificial neural networks are a biological model of the human brain, but they're not very realistic biologically. They're certainly inspired by biology. They're inspired by animal and human brains, and they are the things that power AI systems. But artificial neural networks are, by their definitions, sort of just mathematical objects that are only really built out of basic mathematical principles.
All right, fantastic, Alex. Thank you for that explanation at the end as well. A lovely first question, sets the tone. Here is question number 2. What is the difference between AI, ML, and neural networks? A, they're all the same. B, neural networks are a form of machine learning, which is itself a form of AI. Or C, neural networks and AI are the same, but machine learning is broader. Oh, it gets tricky out here. 67% currently seem to think neural networks are a form of machine learning, which is in itself a form of AI. Should we go with that, Alex? So would you like to dwell on something before, or let them answer it and then we'll see what we could get from you?
Let's give them maybe, it looks like most of the votes are in already, and I think I'm happy with the one that's leading.
All right, yeah, he's happy with it. So we lock it right there. What is the right answer? It is correct. Neural networks are a form of machine learning, which in itself is a form of AI. Elaborate a bit on that, Alex.
Yeah, that's something that tricks up a lot of people with not a lot of background in the field, or even people with a lot of background in the field, because all of these terms sound very similar, but neural networks are indeed a very specific type of machine learning algorithm. There are many other machine learning algorithms. There might even be machine learning algorithms that are better than neural networks that we haven't discovered yet. And then machine learning is a way that a computer learns from data adaptively. AI doesn't need to be like that. There are, for example, chess engines are fixed algorithms that don't learn from data. And that's still, we call that artificial intelligence, even though it's hard-coded. So artificial intelligence can be broader than machine learning.
Fantabulous. You learn so much on this platform, don't you guys? I do. I incredibly do. All right. Let's see what we can learn from our third question coming up on your screen. What is Moore's Law? A law that tells us the total number of neurons needed to achieve full general artificial intelligence. A law that tells us how quickly artificial neural networks can grow in size each year. Or is it a law that tells us how quickly computers grow in their computing power every year? I saw Moore's Law on your screen when you were giving your presentation. And also you spoke about it. Let's see if they know it. 49% are going towards option A, 28% towards B, and well, 24 towards C as well. Seems a bit tricky. Let's get their answer in, after which, Alex, I'm going to ask you to elaborate on what the right answer is and why it is so. The right answer is a law that tells us how quickly computers grow in their computing power every year. 39% of you got that right, so well done. Alex, elaborate on that, please.
Yeah, so Moore's Law has nothing to do with neural networks. Moore's Law was invented way before neural networks were an important algorithm. It is just a law about computers. But because computers underlie everything, Moore's law underlies everything too. So it is true that a consequence of Moore's law is that neural networks will get bigger and that AI algorithms will get more powerful. But Moore's law is not about neural networks or AI algorithms. It is purely about computers.
There you go. Computers and about computing power and computing their powers every year. All right. Let's bring on some more powers and give you guys more power, because next question coming away. How does mathematics appear in AI? Through linear algebra and multivariable calculus, by which neural networks are trained from data. B, because mathematics appears in physics and physics appears much of AI. It does not yet play a role in AI, but one day it might. Okay, which way are you guys going? A lot of them are going towards through linear algebra and multivariable calculus, by which neural networks are trained from data. Because it's 78, 77%, let's go with that answer and let's see, has the majority got it right? What is the right answer?
Yeah, fantastic. That's exactly
fantastic, right. Fantastic. They've got it right on their screens. It is the first one. Through linear algebra and multivariable calculus, by neural networks are trained from data. Tell us about this.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see how many people got that question right. Mathematics is important in artificial intelligence directly. It is directly relevant to understand linear algebra, multivariable calculus. And if you understand those two things very well, you can understand exactly how not just neural networks, but a bunch of AI algorithms work. But I think that if you don't understand that type of mathematics, then you won't be able to understand machine learning.
All right, perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for that, Alex. I think we got one last question. We have one last question. My screen seems to be a bit blurry.
Mine as well.
Yeah, is yours blurry as well? We're just going to try fixing it up for us now. The team's working on it, and while they're working on it, I'm going to ask you, Alex, is this a whole lot of fun? What you do? You've been studying, and you've been studying for a long time. You've done so many different courses, so many different universities. Is it fun to be learning constantly?
I really enjoy thinking about very different ideas across mathematics and physics. I think my strength is definitely taking ideas from one field and applying them into other fields. So maybe you would say that's breadth of a kind. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been great.
All right, okay, fantastic. Back to the question. It's clear on our screens right now. Why do more advanced neural networks require more powerful computers? To perform faster matrix multiplications necessary to train neural networks, because simulating realistic biological systems is necessary to achieve true neural networks. Or C, they don't. Okay, which way is this going to flow now? Let's see. Let's see. What are people thinking now? Well, the polls are, I think, are they coming out, the polls? Can you see the polls coming out?
I don't see that poll yet. Yeah, I'm excited to see what people think.
Get to know. You know, what happens is that every time we have this event, more and more people join us, and it's amazing to see that, you know, so many minds are at work, and of course our systems are also calculating and tabulating so many more people. So I think we have it out here on our
I see it.
Right, it's back on. All right. So I think most of the people, 72%, are going with the first option. Should we lock that in? Let's see if that is the right answer or not. Yes, it is indeed. Beautiful. Well done. 74% of all you young minds out there to perform faster matrix multiplication necessary to train neural networks. Wow. It sounds complicated, Alex. It does. But is it as complicated as it sounds?
I think that, like anything, you get used to it and it becomes very, very doable for anyone.
All right. Perfect. So that ends our set of questions, people, and hope you answer them quickly and correctly. We'll be announcing the winners in our very next event. Alex, enough is not a word that goes around for us. We never get enough. So the students simply want to pick your brains a little more, and of course want to ask you some more questions in our next Q&A round. We will field 4 such questions, and we have our polls that will let the audience decide which question they want an answer for from you. So we have an audience poll that's going to come up, and we got our first segment on it in our Q&A with Alex. Our first segment is from mathematics to AI. 3 questions. Guys, it's up to you to decide which one you want him to answer. How and when did you realize your interest and passion for math? How did you discover the connection between math and artificial intelligence? How has math contributed to the future of AI? Okay, 54%, 56% are leaning towards the first. Let's go with the first then. How and when did you realize your interest and passion for math?
Excellent. Yeah, and I guess like most of them have gone for the first one. Okay. I was not really, my parents were not mathematicians or scientists or engineers. They had no background in it. Until middle school and high school, I didn't have much interest in math and I wasn't very good at it. But I think I was very lucky to have a high school teacher that was particularly inspiring and was very willing to teach advanced mathematics just to high school students, which I really enjoyed getting the chance to learn something advanced. I was very competitive as a child, and I really enjoyed sort of the aspect of knowing something that my peers didn't. And I also discovered Khan Academy, honestly. I discovered Khan Academy when it was first starting, and I couldn't stop watching the videos, and I just loved having a good teacher and a good explainer make that stuff accessible for me. And it really made me believe that anyone could learn really advanced mathematics if they set their mind to it, like a sport almost.
And here you are, continuing with your passion and moving on forward. Well done, Alex. You're inspiring many out here. All right, let's move to our next set of questions, which is the existence of AI around us. Now, what are recent developments in the field of AI that hold major potential? What are the most commonly used programming languages for AI? Or what is the impact of AI on the education system? We're letting our young minds decide for a few seconds more on which question out of the three that want answered by you. And 71% is a clear winner. What are the recent developments in the field of AI that hold major potential?
That's a very hard one because there are so many happening during this period of rapid expansion, and they're all kind of technical, so it's hard to explain. But I would say that one really important development that happened a couple years ago is taking inspiration from how humans pay attention to different things. It's called the attention mechanism, and realize that this is a much better way to process speech and text and documents than any of the pre-existing AI algorithms around us. And I think that that's only going to become more and more important. So I think this notion of attention is really the central one. There's a paper, if anyone wanted to read it, that's called Attention is All You Need.
Wow, fantastic. All right, moving on to our next set. That's set 3, No AI from the Expert. What, according to you, are some common misconceptions about AI, and how would you address them? How does learning and understanding AI at an early age contribute to a child's career path development? And what are the 3 key pieces of advice you'd like to give to the young AI enthusiasts who want to study and make a career in this stream? Okay, let's look at the poll once again. It's coming on.
Yeah.
Can you see it from your end? I think it's about to come on. I'd like to know all 3 of them from you, but we've got to get one of them in. So the polls are getting published in the meantime. I think we're tabulating the results.
Absolutely.
And yeah, should come out soon. Should come out soon. All 3 very interesting questions, though, Alex.
I know. I'm excited to see which ones they want. I'm kind of nervous to they're all kind of hard. Let's see. Okay, the poll is out.
The poll is out, and it's 100%, or was it 100%? Oh, it's 42%. Oh, it's quite matched. Let's just go with the 42%. What are the 3 key pieces of advice you'd like to give to the young AI enthusiasts who want to study and make a career out of this profession?
Yeah, that was the question I was worried about, because that's a hard question. So for sure, the number 1 piece of advice I would give is learn mathematics really, really well. The more mathematics you know, the better it is. The easier it is for you to access all of this stuff, and it doesn't seem so scary to read the papers and to implement the algorithms. The second thing is to get your hands dirty. I guess to know a programming language very well would be the next best thing. To be proficient and fluent in Python, even just one programming language. It's not important to know a bunch of programming languages. Just knowing one programming language really, really well and being able to read data from it and write data and train models using Python would be a huge, huge benefit. And then the third one is when you see an AI algorithm that you're interested in, try implementing it for yourself, because you would be surprised how much you can do with your abilities once you have those first 2 points down.
3 great pieces of advice given by Alex to all you guys. And now let's move on to question number 4, or set number 4, AI myths and facts. AI can replace the human workforce. Is that true? You need data scientists, machine learning experts, and huge budgets to use AI for the business. What are your views on this? Or consumer products with AI technology a necessity, or is it a luxury? The polls are this time working really well. And I think that, well, I mean, I think that many kids would be very interested in knowing this. And I think even grown-ups, I want to know this too. AI can replace the human workforce. Is that true?
Yeah. I think this is like a very hotly debated question that we don't really fully know to what extent that could happen. I know that many jobs that currently exist can be automated by artificial intelligence systems, and it's a question of how long that will take. Like having self-driving cars will certainly automate a lot of current jobs, but it's very likely that along the way new career paths will open up for people to design the artificial intelligence to ensure its safety. And conceivably, if we handle this the right way, we could make it so that people don't have to work as brutally and could have more time for their families, when we can sort of have a more ideal world structure. But that really depends on how this stuff is applied and utilized.
Thank you for that, Alex. Lovely 4 questions answered by him. And I hope you guys got the answers to all of what you want to know in this lovely session from him. And of course, the Q&A. Alex, before I let you go, can I ask you a question from my end? As somebody who's always an enthusiast in the way the future works out for us, where do you see the use of AI 15 years down the line? How much more will human beings use it? What's your look at the future when it comes down to AI?
I think that 15 years from now, it'll be very interesting to see how AI might be able to understand text and language just as well as humans can. Wow. And can recognize documents and substantially help people with more white-collar jobs not have to spend so much time perusing through documents and reading through things, and it can automatically do almost everything. We're seeing very small glimpses of this now, how neural networks can fill out emails for you now. They can kind of guess the email that you want to write. But I think we're going to see them get so much better at this that it'll be incredible.
Well, we look forward to an incredible future. And hopefully that future is not too far for us, where we have you back with us on this learning platform at CreatorSpace. Thank you so much, Alex, for your time. Thank you for the insight into the world of AI. Keep going well, keep going strong, keep studying, keep enjoying doing what you do. And of course, thank you for inspiring us today. Thank you for being here, Alex.
Thank you so much, Samir. It's been a pleasure.
Well, there you have it. That's Alex here, who has joined us, and of course, giving us a great insight into the world of AI. And now, kids, let me tell you that once again, that the final reminder for this amazing trial offer that we are running today, you got to head to the lobby to get your links and enjoy yourself when you're learning. And of course, you can win some wonderful prizes too. We will see you on the next edition of CreatorSpace in the month of December. Registration for the same will be open soon. Have a good night, good evening, and a good day, no matter where you are joining us from. This is me, Samir Kochar, saying bye-bye.